Here's the story of a trainer named Red who decided to join a Pokemon Draft League. He played against a Bubblehulk who ran a Trick Room in bulk. It's the story of a trainer named Curry who battled in a Pokemon Draft League. Oh, he was good friends with a trainer named Theo. And the two put on a show, you know that they did. Till one day, when Red approached Curry, oh no, don't forget about Bubble and Theo. That this group must somehow form a draft league. And that's the way we all began the VBA. The VBA. VBA. That's the way we all began the VBA. Oh yeah!
Here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Oh, just kidding. Hello, everyone. Theo here, and this is our first admin collaboration video. We just had our draft, which went 95% of the way successfully, and then the last 5%, you guys hung with us there, so thank you for that. But everything should be good to go now. We'll have the schedule released shortly, and our first video today is actually going to be about a draft analysis, going over everyone's teams. We haven't had a deep dive yet into anyone's teams, but these are kind of just our first initial thoughts. And it is a collab video, so I am joined today by Mr. Rhett, coach of the Pittsburgh Steel Types, Mr. Curry, coach of the Worcester Stunfisks, and also Mr. Bubblehulk. His face is here. He's not with us on cam, but his face is with us. So, and Bubble is coach of the Gardner Guzzlords. So thank you guys for joining. I think what we'll do is we'll just go in alphabetical order from the VBA team pages. So we'll start off at the top with the Alexandria Arcanines. This team consists of Gmax, Venusaur, Glastrier, Tapu Koko, Torkoal, Bronzong, Goodra, Mantine, Tangela, Beheeyem, Frostmoth, and Thievul. So let's start with Rhett. Rhett, what are your first initial impressions of this team?
Obviously, Venusaur Torkoal jumps out at you. Also, though, there's a potential Swift Swim mode with the Mantine, and I mean, somebody here must have access to the rain.
Yeah, he has the Koko. So he does have the electric terrain with the Thievul Unburden for another fast mode. And we know Thievul Unburden with Fake Tears is definitely a threat.
I like Tangela as a relatively cheap redirection option. With a chlorophyll option, although that's, less. I think Goodra also pairs well with the Venusaur because you can get into some tap sipper nonsense.
Yeah, yep. He has a lot of modes. He has the Bronzong Trick Room mode for that Torkoal, yeah, he has a fast and a slow mode. He has 2 really solid Trick Room setters, which is really scary. And it's a relatively bulky, actually it's a really bulky team now that I'm looking at it. It's a very bulky team. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Mr. Curry?
I agree. And not only does he have 2 Trick Room setters, right? Yeah, Beheeyem and who's the other one?
Bronzong.
He also has 2 Tailwind setters with Mantine and Frostmoth. The one thing I will say is the hidden ability on Frostmoth is actually pretty good, because even though it has the 4-times weakness to rock and 4-times weakness to fire, Ice Scales, it doesn't need to be Inhale or anything. Reduces special attacks by 50%. A couple things, obviously, as Rhett had mentioned, the Venusaur Torkoal. He also does have the fast option of Tapu Koko without the Torkoal. And just looking at his team, he does have a couple after you. He has Speech Swap. He has a couple and 2 ally switchers in the Rage Powder, as you said, with the Tangela. This team is a very well built, and I think it's going to be always just the Venusaur Torkoal. I see the Thievul Unburden with the Tapu Koko coming as well for some of those matchups.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of modes and options on this team. Bubble, does anything stand out to you?
Glastrier. So the Trick Room mode for this team is really scary. You got Torkoal Venusaur, you could go Bronzong, Tangela with redirection. Bronzong was a really great pickup, I think. So many defenses. It's a great Trick Room setter. He's got some ally switch on the team. That's scary.
Yeah.
Glastrier under Trick Room is just really tough.
Yeah, and I think Dan, who's the coach, Dan StoutGaming, who's the coach of this team, I think he mentioned earlier in the Discord when he first joined in that he was part of another league where they were debating banning Glastrier because it was so good. And, well, he's got it. He's got it. It's not banned in this league.
Last season, we saw it on a very hard Trick Room team. I'm excited to see it on more of a Trick Room option team.
Yeah, I agree. So overall spice level potential of this team, what do we think? Are we thinking like McCormick black pepper, ground black pepper? Are we thinking jalapeno, habanero, ghost chili? What about you, Curry? What are you thinking for spice level?
This would be the hardest of the spices, so probably ghost pepper.
Ghost pepper, okay.
He's trying to burn someone,
Okay.
Not literally, but
All right. Ghost pepper from Curry. How about you, Mr. Bubble?
I'd say maybe paprika.
Paprika. Oh.
I mean,
I guess if you have
sparkle's pretty strong. Not unexpected to see.
Awesome.
Well, if that's what you're talking about for like uniqueness, then yeah, it's full bland.
Yeah, and I guess it depends on what we mean by spice, right? If spice is just like good stuff, he's got a lot of that. If it's like unconventional picks and things that'll catch you off guard, I think it's less spicy. It's a little not that there aren't tricks here, but there's a lot of tried and true favorite on this team.
I mean, there's going to be games where this team shows up and you think you're on the ladder. It's just going to be...
Yeah, it does kind of look like a ladder team or a ladder viable team. But yeah, spice level as far as what they can do, as far as options and surprise factor and whatnot, I give it a jalapeno. I think it's pretty solid. It has a nice kick to it. Now, as far as threat level, I think it's very threatening. In my opinion, this is a really well-drafted team. So let's go to the next one, which are the Clinton Clefables. The Clinton Clefables are coached by Mr. Rollo, and he has drafted Gmax Copperaja, Cresselia, Porygon Z, Clefable, Mamoswine, Mandibuzz, Claydol, Quillfish, Vaporeon, Kangaskhan, and Manectric. Bubble, what are your first thoughts when you see this team?
Well, knowing Rollo and talking to him before the draft, I knew he was all in on Clefable. He likes to do so much with it, whether it's redirection, life orb attacking. It can do a lot of different things. Obviously, Porygon Z set a little Trick Room. Cresselia, same thing. I honestly can't speak too much to Claydols and Quillfishes and Copperajas, but he has certain Pokemon that he likes, and he has strategies going, and Kangaskhan's another one. He loves the Kangaskhan fake outs.
Yeah, the Kangaskhan was a good grab, and he grabbed it really early too.
The best tier 4s, yeah, so taking it early is pretty good.
I think Quillfish is a really good pick. It's got 3 good abilities and pretty solid typing. I really like Water Poison as a typing. It was one that I was looking at for a little bit when I was going through options for this season. So I think that's a nice low tier Intimidate user, which could come in really handy for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Quillfish is a really smart pick. It's a good Intimidator. It's a pretty fast Intimidator too, decently fast, and it also gets access to Swift Swim if he does decide to run a rain mode. Yeah, I like the Quillfish. I like the Vaporeon pick a lot. We saw how threatening Vaporeon was from last season with Audio's team, and it's just so bulky. And the fact that it gets water absorbed, so he has water immunity to cover the Mamoswine. I like it overall. The Clefables very strong. What about you, Curry? How do you think of this team?
I actually got a little chance to talk to Rollo prior as well. The one thing I do want to say, looking at the type matchup, because I know he got sniped a couple times, that might have ended up being to his benefit a little bit. His type matchup, so far, he looks like he has the most positive or neutral type matchup, with only being -1, and that's the only grass type.
Is that true?
And that's going to be his, yeah, he's positive in most, and then just neutral in everything else. That's something hard to usually pull off in a draft. The fact that he has a way to kind of stall things out if he needs to, he can most likely stall a Dynamax out because he has that ability with the Mandibuzz of Snarling. Mandibuzz just being bulky in general. It doesn't do much, but it does get, if someone does want to boost up using like weakness policy, I'll play it. Using their attack against them. You know, he can stall a little bit with the Intimidate. But what's going to be really interesting, I think, is going to be that Capraja. If he uses the max steel, which I can see him using, that's going to add a little extra layer, because you don't normally see spikes or terrain setting in a VGC format. So having that, in the fact that there's steel spikes, like Togekiss, that's going to be 1/4 of its HP gone. For some other mons, it's going to just chunk them. I know a few of my mons aren't going to like that. Slurpuff's not going to want to switch into already being quartered health from that.
Does it do damage based on type?
Yep. So for Stealth Rocks, it's going to, like, the reason why Charizard or Volcarona would lose half its HP is because they're 4 times weak to rock. So it goes
Well,
off.
yeah, I knew that Stealth Rock worked that way. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, this is a steel type Stealth Rock, essentially.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to add a whole new layer.
Yeah.
Because people with a lot of ice types and stuff like that.
I don't necessarily, like, from first glance, this isn't a team I would say looks super threatening, but it has options, and it has a lot of Pokemon that we wouldn't normally see, even in Draft League. Like, we don't typically see Quillfish or Claydol even in Draft League. And the fact that he has Capraja, Capraja is very underutilized, but knowing Rollo and the way he thinks, he's probably gonna deliver on the spice level. So I'm gonna give him a Habanero on the spice level. What about you guys?
I would agree.
I think that sounds about right.
All right.
Rollo will find some things that we haven't seen, I'm sure.
Oh, he already knows them. This is definitely a habanero at least.
At least the habanero. That we heard that from Bubble right here.
Yeah, and we know he's a wild card.
Yeah,
we know.
for sure.
Even if we say habanero, it's not going to be the cheap habanero that you get like at Taco Bell. It's going to be the good stuff, so you know it's going to burn regardless. Like, not all habanero burns equally, and
It's going down and coming back out again. It's going to burn.
right. Back end and front end. You're going to feel the burn.
All right, so let's go on to the next one. So next up here are the Corpus Christi Krabbys, coached by Mr. Joe KrabbyShack, or KrabbyShack. And he is coming at us with Duraludon, Gmax, Dracovish, Heatran, Whimsicott, Gourgeist, Togetic, Hippowdon, Pikachu, Grapplock, Maractus, and Skuntank. Skuntank. My first thoughts when I see this team, I see Whimsicott, I see Heatran, I see Dracovish. I see a strong core. He has the Dragon Fairy Steel right at the very top, and I also Grass, Water, Fire,
Water as well.
That's really cool. Wow. I think his core looks really, really strong. What about you, Bubble? What do you think?
The Togetic jumps out at me as well. It's such a strong Eviolite user with the Follow Me and just really high defense and special defense. Its special attack is actually not the worst either for a middle Pokemon there.
Yeah, I'm surprised Togetic got grabbed so late that G was actually able to get it.
It's quite strong, and the Tailwind Whimsicott with, like you said, the Heatran Dracovish, that's going to be super strong. And Duraludon, that's another tier 1, just in his G-Max slot, so that's good value there.
Yeah, he also has the Trick Room option in Gourgeist, Fake Out and Lightning Rod with Pikachu. Storm Drain's really good with Maractus. Hopefully he doesn't forget about the Dracovish and Vicious Rend that same turn. Rhett, what do you think of this team?
Well, it's got a lot of ice weaknesses. Is the first thing I notice, and not a lot of ice resistances.
He has Heatran at ×4. That's his main ice resist, I think.
But then he's got Whimsicott, Gourgeist, Togetic, Hippowdon, and Maractus, all weak to ice. So I would expect his opponents to be picking up on that. He's got some insane resistance to grass. He's got a pretty solid resistance to electric. I like both Togetic and Whimsicott. I'm not sure how well they'll play on a team at the same time, though. So he might have some more rigid team building choices to make than some of the other teams we've looked at.
One thing that as much as we mentioned the Tailwind on Whimsicott, which obviously is, usually the main thing you think of, like the premier move of Whimsicott. The other thing is it gets the fake tears and it also gets that Trick Room. Honestly, Whimsicott can make even a bad team good. So the fact that Whimsicott's here, it's going to make it scary. Then we look at the Gourgeist, which is another grass. The Gourgeist offers a lot of variance in speed. You can do a really slow Gourgeist, you can do it really fast. And he has ways to proc the weakness policy with either Sucker Punch on Grapplock or Maractus or Skuntank. And then if he goes to the fast variant and you're prepped for the slow, all of a sudden you're on the back foot. That being said, the other thing I do think is going to be tricky that he could end up doing and bringing is the Grapple Locked. That is going to be the topsy-turvy, the signature move that it and Malamar get. Having that, if you start going for bulks or bulk in front of it, or if you're lowering stats, he can then turn those around. I've used it before in the past for just fun teams, and it's kind of funny when someone sets up a weakness policy and all of a sudden they're -2 in the offense.
That's true.
Or they lower your defenses and you all of a sudden make that a positive. So it's definitely something that's fun. And then the other thing that we're forgetting here is because he could do just Trick Room Whimsicott and not even do Tailwind if he went with Hippowdon Sandstream and Sand Rush on Dracovish. He has two ways to get Dracovish going real fast. And if he decided not to do that and he wanted to kind of control the sand and the speed of Dracovish, he doesn't need the Tailwind. He could do Trick Room, because it's going to work. If your opponent has a fast team, it's middling speed, you can still get it to work in Trick Room if you need it to work in Trick Room.
Yeah.
What do you think of spice level potentially from this team?
I'm a connoisseur of spice, it's in my name. I want to say he's got spice here, but he's gonna have to work on that spice a little bit. I don't know what's underneath habanero. I don't think it's habanero. Maybe it's Taco Bell brand habanero. That's an insult, and I don't want to insult Joe.
Yeah.
'Cause I know Joe. Joe's got some good stuff.
Would you say it's I would say it's jalapeno. I think it has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
It's similar to the Arcanines, where I feel like they have a lot of modes, but it might not. It doesn't seem as balanced as far as typings go.
Right.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I would say jalapeno.
Okay.
All right, Joe. You're a jalapeno popper.
Yeah, I think that's fairly accurate. I think there's some potential for some cool stuff, like Sunny Day, Whimsicott, and Chlorophyll Maractus could be a fun team mode.
Yeah, it's jalapeno. I think it's a little top heavy, but just a lot of good tier 1s. And then after that, you're probably not bringing, Skuntank and Grapple Locked a lot. But the top ones are so good. The Whimsicott has a lot of spice just by itself. The Togetic gets access to some cool status moves. So just between Whimsicott and Togetic, I think that's jalapeno.
So let's hop over to one of our other new teams, Detroit Dhlemise. This is coached by RazzRazzBerry, or Raz, and they ended up drafting G-Max Toxtricity, Duraludon, Tornadus Incarnate, Azumarill, Ninetales, Venusaur, Heracross, Mr. Rhyme, Spiritomb, Charjabug, and Sudowoodo. And from just looking at first glance, what are your first thoughts, Curry?
Actually, initially liking the idea of Charjabug, I think it's good. If I remember, battery increases special attack, not just electrical attack. So if that's the case, then it's really good. I think the Venusaur is going to benefit from that. The Ninetales is going to benefit from that. Tornadus, Duraludon, he has a lot of special attackers. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Mr. Rhyme, and I'm a huge fan of Azumarill. I think those two are extremely good pickups. The Heracross is always a good threat. He does, again, he's actually pretty neutral across the field with having 3 times weakness to the rock and 2 to the ground, 1 to the ghost, and 1 to the fire. Overall, though, he has a lot of options. I feel like it's going to be hard to prep for his team.
Yeah, I like the Sun mode with the Venusaur Ninetales, the Tornadus Incarnate with the 2 really good abilities, Prankster and Defiant. Like after Whimsicott, it's definitely the best Tailwind setter. And you also have the ability to go Defiant as well against a heavy Intimidate team. Spiritomb having 3 immunities and just being a really annoying wall to get through is also tough.
I really like the Heracross pick. I just really like Heracross in general with Guts or Moxie as options, and it's fast. Having Stab Bug and having Stab Fighting available is always very good. We know Prankster Tailwind wins stuff. So he has that, he has the Sun mode, like you guys mentioned. Charjabug, Sudowoodo. Yeah, I think this is a pretty well-drafted team. As far as typing-wise, I think it's pretty balanced.
I'm getting some flashbacks from Cam's team from last season with
I agree.
the Tornado Ninetales Venusaur. I think this team can do really well. He's got some good Trick Room setter options. I think Sudowoodo and Azumarill can both take advantage of that. I think this looks like a fun team.
It does look fun. I'm going to give this one a habanero. I think this team is actually going to do pretty well. I think it's really hard to prep for. They have a lot of options, it looks like, a lot of different modes. And I see a lot of potential surprising techs coming out here. I also really like G-Max Toxtricity. I think the Paralyze hacks that's going to happen on Leaf this season, and the poisons that will happen on Rollo this season from this team, I'm excited to see it.
I'm thinking jalapeno.
Okay. All right.
I don't see the Azumarill working as well on the team personally. I don't know what's going to really support it too much other than the Tornadus maybe and Toxtricity. It's a good water type, don't get me wrong, it's always a good water type, but surprises that are going to come from it I think are going to be on the limited side. That's why I'm thinking it's jalapeno, but I could be completely wrong. I never battled this guy.
Yeah, I think it's up there, maybe a little bit of above a jalapeno. Spiritomb is just really annoying. I don't know too much how Charjabug works, but if you guys were talking about it, I'm a little concerned now. Huge power on Azumarill. You could get some big hits off of that. Yeah, I'd say maybe in between a jalapeno and a habanero.
Yeah, I don't think Azumarill really needs too much support. I mean, you can just run huge power Life Orb and get that Prankster Tailwind, and you're good to go for the most part. But I also see where you're coming from, with Curry, where he doesn't have a team built around the Azumarill, but the fact that it's on the team makes it really scary already, because it's so good. Yeah.
It's a strong backline, but it's essentially, I used it in Season 0. I loved Azumarill. It's a personal favorite of mine, along with Mr. Rhyme. Like I said, I think Mr. Rhyme's a little underrated. But spice level, I think, for new and interesting tech is
Yes.
for
Okay.
fun things, I think is on the lower end.
I'm gonna go with Curry on this one. Like I said, I think it's a fun team. I don't think that it's definitely got some options if you want to play out there, but there's nothing on this team other than the Charge-a-Bug that made me want to immediately open up Cerebi and like figure out what the hell that does.
That's fair. Let's go on to the next one. So next up are the Diceroll Drilburs. The Diceroll Drilburs have G-Max Grimmsnarl, Dracozolt, Pheromosa, Darmanitan, Gigalith, Dusknoir, Berserker, Pincurchin, Stoutland, Hitmonlee, and Coughing as well.
So I happen to know that Gigalith was one of the first things he rolled, and I think he basically picked all of his free spots around making Gigalith good. So Stoutland was one that he chose himself, I believe. I know Dracozolt was one he chose himself. The Coughing was his choice. And then the Darmanitan, I believe, was the other one, which he texted to me as pick a fire type. I think the stand mode is going to do a lot of work for him. We've seen in the past that he has a propensity for having a really obvious mode, like the sun mode from last season, the sand mode from this season, and then just not bringing it with the expectation that he's still making people prep for it. So it'll be interesting to see if he continues to do that, or if he relies a little bit more on it. I do like the Pincurchin as a low-tier terrain setter, especially alongside Hitmonlee with Unburden.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Gigalith was a great pick at the time. Not knowing it was just a random roll, but it's a good sand setter. It's good in Trick Room. I really like the Pheromosa and the Dusknoir. I think those can pull off some shenanigans, either by setting Trick Room, by doing a speed swap and just being a tanky Dusknoir. The Dracozolt, obviously, it looks really scary with the Gigalith. And Grimmsnarls, another free tier 1 in the G-Max slot, so I always like that. Got Fake Out, all sorts of annoying things it can do with its priority.
Auto screens, basically. Sucker Punch, Fake Out. But yeah, like you mentioned, it's a free tier 1. He does have Thunder Wave, yep.
Yeah, so that's annoying. I really like the Hitmonlee pick. I thought it was one of the stronger tier 4s. I was targeting it myself. Got Fake Out, it's got the Unburden with all the terrain, so I like it.
Yeah, I love the Pincurchin. Was Pincurchin... Rhett, do you know if Pincurchin was random, or if that was chosen?
That was a roll, yeah.
That was a roll? That was a good roll. Yep, like you mentioned, low tier terrain setter. I love that it can have Lightning Rod as well. Not that it really protects anyone on this team, but it's always good to have a Lightning Rod user. It gets access to Sucker Punch. What else here? The Pheromosa, I think, is really scary because he doesn't have to go sand mode. For speed boost, he could just speed swap that Gigalith if he really wanted to, or speed swap the Dracozolt. And Bubble used Pheromosa last season. It just hits so hard too. It's fast and it hits so hard from both the physical and special side.
So I agree. I actually think this team's really well built around his roles. Unfortunately, he sniped the Dracozolt from Rollo. The Grimmsnarl, obviously Grimmsnarl's a really good pick. Like, if you're gonna get a G-Max and you don't plan on using the G-Max, Grimmsnarl's, you get Prankster. You get that Scary Face, you get Fake Tears, you get the Spirit Break, the Real Nuisance gets Screams. We know Grimmsnarl does. If he plans on Dynamaxing it, however, you know this problem, Theo. its special move, its signature move
Yeah.
is actually weakened. It's base 90, not like doesn't go all the way up to 100. Does it? I don't even think it gets to 100. So if he wants to use that, that's
Yeah.
gonna be a little bit unfortunate there. The coughing originally I thought was good. It does give him ground coverage, which he is weak to. He's 3 times weak to, but it doesn't get neutralizing gas. I don't believe it does. It does?
Yeah.
Okay. The thing's not showing that. So,
Coughing
okay,
gets
never mind.
neutralizing gas?
Yep, that's on Cerebi. I'm on Cerebi
yeah.
right
Oh,
now.
okay.
It's got neutralizing gas and stench as its hidden ability.
Wow.
Gotcha. All right, I was wondering how that was going to work.
That's a pretty good grab then. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good grab. You can definitely make that super tanky, space 95 defense, base 45 special defense. I mean, it's not too far off in 40 HP, so it's not far off from initial. Then he loses that ground coverage, where Pheromosa is going to be his only ground coverage at that, and Pheromosa dies if you look at it.
That's true.
Other than that, he has an Intimidate, which gives him some help. That one gets after you, which with Sand Rush on Stoutland and the Gigalith, I mean,
Dude.
I can see a Dynamax Gigalith coming out with an after you. And
Yeah.
someone's going to be sorry.
Stoutland
Didn't think
Gigalith
that.
is so good. And then I think Stoutland's just a really good mon in general. It has 3 really good abilities. It's super bulky. It has one of the strongest last resorts in the game. I love Stoutland. It's one of my favorite Pokemon.
Now, looking at some of the abilities at the bottom of the page, he's got 7 different taunt users, which is just kind of funny. But then he's got like a million different options for priority.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see Weakness Policy Dusknoir coming out.
Yeah.
There's
There's
options.
some options.
Yeah, he has options. Yeah. I'm surprised how well the team turned out. His strategy that he decided to use, but I think it turned out pretty well. Surprisingly, I would give this a habanero, maybe like a slightly unripened habanero.
Yeah, same.
Cherry pepper.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and I can agree with Red a little bit. How he did his team was spicy. Now, how looking at the team and its options, I'm like, what do you do besides Sand or Trick Room or maybe the Speed Swap? It's getting a little limited there. So and then we know that he built around his random dice rolls. It kind of makes me go, is it really that spicy? It's spicy. Don't get me wrong, it is spicy. But
Well,
is that spicy?
he might
We know.
he might dice roll all his moves too. You never know.
Oh, if he does that, maybe. As someone who is also has family who's from the UK, first generation, I know we have bland taste in food, so.
All right,
I'm
you know
into
what?
that.
Let's just move on. We'll move on. Next up are the Fuchsia City Royals, coached by Popos, and their team consists of Gmax Kingler, Indeedee Female, Porygon 2, Aegis/, Charizard, Slowking Galarian, Chansey, Alolan Exeggutor, Machamp, Shuckle, and Wartortle. So Popos actually had his viewers vote on all his picks. So I don't actually know which pick was his. I think he made one pick that was his own, and then the rest were his viewers. I like the Gmax Kingler. I think Gmax Kingler is really underutilized. It hits really hard. It has middling speed, which is good and bad. I think it's good because it makes it harder to prep for, and he has a pretty safe way to set up Trick Room with Porygon 2. He has the H/ with Shadow Sneak to proc. Well, is Galarian Slowking weak to Ghost? I'm not sure. No.
Poison is neutral, if I remember. No,
Oh.
he is weak to Ghost. Weak to Ghost and Dark and Ground. Only 3 weaknesses.
Okay, he can do it on the Exeggutor as well. He has ways to proc. He has a lot of weakness policy users, potentially.
I really like the Indeedee as one of the best redirection users. Prevents the fake out priority moves from happening. A lot of good ways to set Trick Room, as you said. The Porygon, the Slowking, Executor even still gets the Trick Room. I like it.
I'm seeing a Wartortle, Aquajet into Charizard weakness policy set in our way. Otherwise, I'm not sure what the Wartortle is going to do. But I mean, I think Executor Alola is a cool pick. I'm a big fan of Harvest as an ability in general. The thing about Chansey is that it's scariest when you don't know it's coming. And it's going to make people prep for it. But if people are sufficiently prepped for Chansey, then it give them trouble.
Yeah, and at the same time, I'm not really sure what Chansey does. I don't know what the Chansey does besides maybe status healing stuff, but I'm excited to find out.
So, when it comes to two people randomizing their teams, which one do you think was more random when someone did some dice rolls and this guy Popo let all his viewers do picking? I have to give it to Popo here. He did the more random.
You think so?
And he put his faith in his viewers, which that's risky.
It's brave.
If anyone knows anything, people like to troll. We know he picked the Shuckle. That was his one pick, which obviously Popo, his signature, his image is Shuckle. I will say the Aegislash is going to be difficult for him to use, and not just, I don't mean him as a player, I mean just in general, because if you Dynamax it, its ability stance change doesn't actually work, which is unfortunate. So if he Dynamaxes it in defensive mode, then he has no offense, and vice versa. So you lose out on Aegislash's uniqueness. His team is very slow as well, so he's going to need that Trick Room. So the Indeedee and the Trick Room on the Porygon 2, which is very reliable. Trick Room on the
Slowking and the Executor.
Yeah. So he has multiple slow users for that, which is really good. But I think his team is good. I think it's actually fairly well balanced. He doesn't have any major weaknesses. He doesn't actually have any major bonuses. It's just kind of like even Steven across the board. Really the speed. The speed's where he's gonna have some trouble.
Yeah, he's gonna be relying a lot on Trick Room.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Indeedee really helps. Like it's tough to get. It's tough to stop Trick Room with Indeedee. And then those Machamp no guard rock slides are gonna hit hard. The Dynamic Punch confuse you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this team has a lot of Pokemon I would consider spicy. A lot of things that we don't see very often. Well, we know that Galarian Slowking can be spicy. And I'm excited to see the Executor. I love Machamp ever since the Kanto Classic. I really like Machamp as a Pokemon. He has Guts and No Guard, so you don't know exactly what they're going to be running it as. It's also one of those Pokemon that can do pretty well outside of Trick Room, and if you technically EV it properly, you can outspeed a lot of stuff with Machamp outside of Trick Room. But this team is definitely a Trick Room team for sure. And I'm expecting him to do Shuckle things with power splits and guard swaps or whatever it may be, and I'm excited to see that. Spice level, I give this one a ripe jalapeno. What about you, Bubble? What do you think?
Oh, I'm going habanero at least on this. Like the Slowking Galar, who knows what that can do? All sorts of weird things. Chansey does weird things. We got Shuckle. Yeah, I feel a lot of spice coming. Maybe I think a lot of spice.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Bubble. I'm gonna say habanero, especially looking at his team from last season, which was
much more standard.
Much more standard VGC stuff. He just he picked a lot of stuff that was good, and he put it together, and I mean it was good. You know, he definitely beat me with it. But as far as spice goes, this team is much more spicy, and I'm much more excited to see the creativity that should come out of this team.
I'm gonna throw a little shade here. He's very safe player. He likes the VGC standard, and we never got to see him actually do anything really unique and interesting with his team last time. I want to see that. So until I see that, for now, he's Paprika.
Oh, the paprika's been thrown.
Yeah, I have faith he can bring it. I want to see it though.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. I really like the idea of Chansey next to Shuckle for some reason. I think that could provide a lot of spice. But for now, I'm going to stick to my ripe jalapeno. There's definitely potential with this team. Let's go to our next team, the Gardner Guzzlords, coached by our very own Bubble. So Bubble drafted G-Max Rillaboom, Incineroar, Tapu Fini, Crobat, Escavalier, Sableye, Drampa, Rhydon, Weezing, Duosion, Magneton. Yep, Magneton is the last one. Rhett, what do you think?
I'm looking at his Firewater Grass core right here at the top, and I don't want to have to do it. I don't want to play this team. It's so good. Rillaboom and Incineroar are a great combination. It hurts my heart to see Tapu Fini on the other side of the field. Crobat's excellent support. Sableye is excellent support. Weezing is excellent support. And then he's got a bunch of really scary Trick Room threats. Escavalier, Drampa, Rhydon. God, I really like this team, and I don't want to play against it. So good job, Bubble.
So, I said, what team was it? Was it Rollo's team that was like pretty much no weaknesses except for one? Was it that? I think it was Rollo's.
Yes.
Yeah. Bubble, what are you doing, man? You have 0. You're neutral or better.
Oh, what? Really?
You have coverage for everything.
That's awesome.
Well done.
Wow.
Yeah, that is very
Well drafted,
planned out.
Bubble.
Now, the only thing
Was that really planned out though, Bubble?
Not even close. Nope.
Knew it.
Here's the thing, though. We know Bubble. We love Bubble. Bubble's a Trick Room guy.
That's right.
Bubble,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not seeing this Trick Room other than on Duosion.
That's true. Explain yourself, Bubble.
You're a little out of your element here, and
So-
it has me worried.
So I did want to have a Trick Room option. Last season I leaned on it, I think, too hard with first picking Glastrier and going just straight into G-Max Hatterini. So I wanted to have other options. I think a lot of fake out and the possibility to set Tailwind with Crobat through other fake outs is a different mode that I didn't really have last season.
Oh yeah, and you also
Yeah.
actually have a lot of taunt, and you could do a late Trick Room. Honestly, I think your team is really well rounded.
I think it's a
you have
really
a
good team. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a lot of options.
Yeah, I'll be looking to pick up maybe a little more speed at some point. I don't really have anything super fast. Tapu Fini is actually a lot faster than I thought.
What are you talking about?
but-
Speed?
You Crobat.
Yeah, I have Trick Room and maybe Tailwind, but I do have a lot of slower Pokemon as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see the Escavalier. I love that as a Pokemon. It hits so hard.
Yeah.
And if you do get Trick Room up, it just demolishes things.
Yeah, I wanted to have answers to sleep powder, spores, those kind of things. So having multiple overcoat Pokemon that was important.
Yeah, I could see that. And I mean, you got the Quash and stuff like that. So it's honestly, Trick Room's not absolutely necessary. So it's like you can make Escavalier work very well. And Fini gives a lot of protection to some of your hardest hitting physical attackers, which is really nice.
Yeah. I give this... I think this is a really threatening team. Now, as far as spice level, I'll give you a jalapeno. I'll give you a jalapeno, Bubble. I think it's a really, really threatening team. This team screams definite playoff contender for sure.
Yeah, jalapeno sounds about right.
I'll agree with the jalapeno. I'm just, no Trick Room, or very harder to get Trick Room.
We expected Trick Room from him.
I know. Maybe it's. I almost want to go even a little bit higher because there is no Trick Room. We're gonna see Bubble unslowed. We're gonna see Bubble speed.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see.
They're too nice. I would give this black pepper, honestly. I don't think it's too spicy.
Really?
I mean, Incineroar, Rillaboom, Tapu Fini, those are just all pretty standard.
It's a really good team. Really good team.
Sableye is my favorite Pokemon, I think, on the team by far.
Yeah.
I love Prankster or Quash.
I like it a lot.
So we'll go on to our next team, which is the Great Lakes Grimmsnarls, coached by WakemedVGC or Sam. He has Cinderace G-Max, Clefairy, Spectrier, Braviary, Liepard, Gardevoir, Golurk, Luxray, Tentacruel, Serena, and Clang.
I really like Clefairy as a redirection user, and along with the Cinderace being any type, Libero is such a good ability. I mean, it's a fire type, but maybe it's not even a fire type. You don't know.
Yeah. I think what throws me off is, I believe Cinderace was their first round pick, if I remember correctly. And what throws me off is that the last 2 seasons of the VBA, the G-Max Cinderace teams actually kind of struggled throughout the regular season. So I'm excited to see what a new coach brings with their Cinderace and how they run it slightly differently, or maybe they run it exactly the same as the other guys. I do like the redirection in Clefairy. I like the Tailwind in Braviary and the Defiant user in Braviary. I think Braviary is really underutilized. It has a really good middling speed as well. Liepard is really good. I think Liepard was a really good pickup with Prankster and the option for Unburden if he does want to be able to fake Tears Dark types. I like the team. How about you, Rhett?
Yeah, there's a lot here that I was actually looking at myself at various points. I was looking at Luxray, I was looking at Liepard. Spectrier was my backup if Dragapult got taken. Clefairy is always good. G-Max Cinderace is one of the best steel types in the format. Tentacruel is really cool. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do with that, especially Tentacruel plus Spectrier could do some fun clear body, weakness policy, bulldoze stuff.
See the no guard again with Golurk, throwing up the rock slides, the dynamic punches again, just always hitting.
Golurk's a fun Pokemon. I think overall for a guy who had, I think it was 7th position, if I remember correctly.
Is it 7th? Did he have 7th?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 7th. I think we could go back and check, but I'm almost certain it was 7th. Alright, I'm stopping. He got everything he wanted from what I remember reading in the chat. So looks like it worked out for him regardless. We see a lot of ways to protect himself from priority. We see that clear body for weakness policy. Tentacruel also gets Tickle. I love Tentacruel a lot. I've used it before. It's really especially bulky, and you don't need to just run it offensively. Luxray is a good intimidator, especially in a draft league format, being able to work in Trick Room or out of Trick Room. I've never personally been a big fan of Gardevoir. Either or, like, it just never really stood out to me. The Liepard is really good. But overall, yeah, I mean, he has a lot of high-speed tier threats, and then he has that nice, reliable friend guard from Berry. And overall, he's going to be having a lot of things we're going to have to deal with. And I have a feeling, judging from the amount of ally switches he has, we're going to be seeing a lot of ally switching from him.
Yep, I could see that.
I feel like Clang is the foretold horseman of ally switch. I could be wrong. I think there's spice. I think there's some spice. I definitely see the clear body. I definitely see some prankster shenanigans with Liepard, probably like Lagging Tail. I could see. I think it's going to be Habanero.
I would agree with that.
I want to make a ghost horse pepper joke, but I think habanero is.
Horseradish?
Yeah, I'll give it a really good horseradish with slices of jalapeno. Not jalapeno, habanero in it. I give this a habanero plus horseradish.
Cleans the sinuses.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go to our next team here. Newcomer here, the Greedy Greninjas, which is coached by Sasori, and they have G-Max, Snorlax, Regirock, Rillaboom, Togekiss, Araquanid, Noivern, Jolteon, Musharna, Kingler, Turtonator, and Wigglytuff. I think this team looks strong on paper. I think the top tiers really go well together. I think Rillaboom with Togekiss is such a good combination. The G-Max Snorlax is just really good. This is one of those instances where they have a free G-Max and a free tier 1 essentially. And we saw how Rhett played Snorlax last season. It's just a monster on its own. So and then with the G-Max form, it can recycle its berry pretty easily as well. The Regirock has the clear body. He has the bulldoze from the Rillaboom to potentially proc that. Does he have a Trick Room user? Musharna. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he has redirection, probably the best, arguably the best redirection user in the format. And then with Musharna, you can set up Trick Room. He has Turtonator, which is pretty good in Trick Room. I don't know about the Wigglytuff. I'm not a big Wigglytuff fan, but I think his top half looked top 3/4 looks very, very strong.
I think this looks strong. He's got a good Trick Room core with Musharna, Snorlax, Regirock. Like you said, the Togekiss for redirection. Turtonator even really strong in Trick Room. And he can go fast with the Jolteon, Noivern, Rillaboom with Grassy Glide. It looks really strong. Some heavy hitters.
I really like the Araquanid pick. Araquanid with Water Bubble is just a really cool Pokemon, and I was a little disappointed we didn't get to see it do anything last. To see it in action this season.
So I will say he does have some options for like bulldoze, clear body stuff. Because I've been trying to sit here and figure out what does he have to activate weakness policy, because he doesn't have a lot of reliable weakness policy rockers. The other thing that actually really stood out to me is this team is insanely bulky. High HP, high defenses, high special defenses. He has good physical, he has good special attacking, and just all middling speed. I feel like he's going to have to rely a little bit more on that Trick Room in some cases. I think it's going to be kind of straightforward, but I can also see him running very bulky teams to kind of stall people out and wear them down, and hopefully get the win in the end there.
Yeah, I think it's nice. This is one of those other teams that has a really solid Trick Room user, because Musharna is so bulky, it's likely going to get Trick Room off. And then he also has a very good Tailwind setter in Noivern that's incredibly fast naturally. I could see what you're saying with the lack of weakness policy procs for that, but I mean Regirock and Rillaboom in itself, that's something you have to prep for.
Right.
Yeah. I would say spice level. I love the Araquanid, like Rhett said. I'd give this one a pretty ripe jalapeno.
I would agree. Jalapeno.
I'll say middling jalapeno, like the mild, kind of.
Okay. What about you, Rhett?
Yeah, I'd say it's average store-bought jalapeno.
Okay. Whole Foods or something? Shaw's, yeah, something more normal. All right, so let's go to the next one. Next up, we have the Island Dragons, coached by HawkTheWanderer. And they have G-Max Charizard, Dragonite, Garchomp, Tapu Lele, Dragalge, Hitmontop, Cottony, Klinklang, Rapidash Galarian, Celio, and Unfezant.
So So he has a lot of priority. He has that vacuum, sucker, quick attack. He has prankster and cottony. I know people have been talking cottony up. I think it's kind of one note. It doesn't actually get tailwind, even though it says on the site it gets tailwind. Beat up is pretty slow on it. Essentially, you know it's going to be the eject button sometimes. Other than that, like, he has some decent screen setters. He has helping hand. He has a couple taunters. I think he has a lot of dragons. So I mean, he has -3 to ice, and he's got a lot of weaknesses. This is kind of reminiscent, not of my team, but like having a lot of weaknesses in last season. He's going to have to compensate, but like grass and bug are going to do very poorly against him. Overall, it's a fast team, but it's also kind of middling speed, but very offensive, very hard hitting. And it's probably essentially going to be punching holes through teams, and that's, I think, what he wants.
Yeah, this team to me doesn't seem super balanced, but to me this team seems very spicy. It has a lot of things that hit hard, and I could see some potential tricks, especially with the Hitmontop available. And I mean, Cottony in itself, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I actually like Cottony a lot. I think Cottony's really, really good with Cotton Spore as an option over Tailwind.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the idea with the 4 dragons, or 3 dragons, but Charizard I'll count as a dragon since they are the island dragons. But yeah, I think for me, the team doesn't seem super balanced, but I would say it's very, very spicy. What about you, Rhett? What do you think of this team?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty spicy team. I commend him. I was looking at it like, man, there's so many dragons on this team, and I didn't make the connection to the team name because I'm, dumb. But I commend him for going all in on that, and then he's got a lot of fairies to balance it out. So I think this is near the top of the spice level that we've seen so far for me.
Yeah, I would personally give it what's higher than habanero is ghost. I'll give it a ghost chili. What do you guys think? What do you think spice level wise?
If the next step up is ghost chili, I'll give it a ghost chili.
Yeah, I'm up at the top there. I do love the Cottony pick. It doesn't get Tailwind, but it still gets a lot of other cool things. It could go Sunny Day with the Charizard. Yeah, I'd say it's at least a habanero.
I'm looking at a spice level at the peppers right now, so you got to bear with me for 1 minute. So we've been saying habanero, so that's about 150,000 to 325,000. Ghost pepper is about 2 steps above that. I would agree with that. That's to the million. We're not on the New Mexican Scorpion or the...
Not yet. We're not there yet.
Or the Reaper. But yeah, I agree with the Ghost Pepper.
Okay. Let's go on to the next team, guys. So next up we have the Lost Teddiursas, coached by the Fifth Leaf. And this is not a Perish Trap team, okay? It's not a Perish Trap team. He has G-Max Gengar, he has Kartana, Primarina, Alakazam, Hydreigon, Umbreon, Dugtrio, Lapras, Wobbuffet, Emolga, and Flareon. What he doesn't have on this team, though, are Perish Song users, right?
I mean, he does, though. He has Kartana as a Perish Song user, Alakazam that's a Perish Song user, Hydreigon, Umbreon.
One of the best is Hydreigon, yeah.
Yeah, Wobbuffet, Emolga, and Flareon all use Perish Song.
So, if this isn't a Perish Trap team, which it isn't, because we've confirmed that with Leaf himself, what do you think this is, Bubble? What do you think of this team?
It's just all in on Kartana there. That thing hits so hard, 181 attack stat. Are you kidding me? That's just gonna kill everything. Primarina's typing is really good. I like the Water Fairy. If he doesn't go Perish Trap, I think he's just fine with Kartana. Steal a lot of damage.
Yeah, well, so he's not going Perish Trap.
No, he doesn't have to. He has Kartana.
He's gonna trap everything in for Kartana to just eat it.
Yeah, this is a really offensive team. It's Kartana hits so hard. Primarina hits so hard. Gengar hits really hard. Alakazam, Hydreigon. This is just a very, very offensive team from, at least at the top, it looks like.
Well, I gotta say, since he's not going Paris Trap, I'm thinking, Table Pepper.
Oh, okay. We got the first McCormick ground black pepper.
Yeah.
What about spice level, Curry? What are you thinking? Are you thinking black pepper?
Oh, I saw him really kind of. The one thing before I could almost agree with that because he's not going Paris Trap.
Right.
But the only thing I'm going to say is for a man who's afraid of paralysis, does not have a lightning rod user. He only has motor drive. And yeah, that's going to knock him down a tier.
Okay.
We know he's going to get Paris.
Okay.
It's in Fifth Leaf's name. It's Fifth Para-Leaf.
I'm gonna go a step up, and I'm gonna go at least fresh ground peppercorns there.
All right. There we go.
They got a little extra spice to them when you do them fresh.
I was going to say the same thing. I agree. I think it's more freshly cracked peppercorns. I wouldn't go
Maybe some red and white pepper in there too.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, that's only if he doesn't go Paris Trap, though. All right. And let's go to the next team here. We have the Meltan Nuts, coached by PB. And they have Gmax Lapras, Amoonguss, Metagross, Galarian Moltres, Chandelure, Raichu, Sigilyph, Swampert, Hitmonchan, Pinsir, and Solrock. If he doesn't run that Solrock as Martin's Solrock, which just was a rock polish, cosmic power, no attacking move, then this team is not spicy at all. But if he does run Martin's Solrock, then we might have our first, was it the Reaper, Carolina Reaper?
I like this team a lot. The Lapras Gmax plus Moltres Galar combination was one that I wasn't sure about last season, but it worked pretty well. I'm a little traumatized seeing them on the same team again. All around picks here. I'm excited about the Swampert. I like the Sigilyph pick. I am curious about his plans for Solrock. I think there's a lot of VGC standard here, and then the bottom half or so of the team is where the spice is going to be.
I definitely feel like when you look at the top half of this team, it looks scary. And then you kind of scroll down, because actually a little bit of this is looking a little bit like Popo's team from season 1 with the Lapras and the Moltres and the Raichu. But yeah, as you kind of go down, you see like the Swampert, which doesn't really have a good ability to work with. If it was Mega Swampert or had Mega Swampert's ability, I'd be a little bit more frightened by it. Hitmonchan, they're all good mons. I think there's going to be some spice in there. I think there's ways to take advantage of it, because he does get that bullet punch on Metagross and Hitmonchan. He gets Fake Out. He has plenty of Fake Out and Feint users. The Pinsir, though, I am a personal fan of Pinsir. If you had to ask me Scyther or Pinsir, I'd always say Pinsir. You know, Pinsir is one of those mons I'd like to see him do a lot with. It has Moxie, it has Mold Breaker, it has Hyper Cutter. All things that are very good abilities. Just making it work with its middling speed. He at least does get that Tailwind with the Sigilyph. And actually, Sigilyph is probably one of the things that's going to bring the most spice. Because it gets Gravity, it gets Tailwind, it gets Trick Room. It has a bunch of abilities. I mean, heck, he could even run a Weakness Policy and just use Tinted Lens and everything hits for at least neutral or super effective.
It's also got Speed Swap with a base 97 speed, which is cool.
Yeah, I think he's got some spice. I think so. I agree with you guys.
How much spice are you talking, though, Mr. Curry?
The bottom, like some of the ones on the bottom that are, I think, bringing the spice and helping, I'm going to say he's hitting Ghost Pepper.
Ghost Pepper, wow. Okay. What about you, Bubble?
I see weakness policies popping off left and right every week against this team. Lapras looks really mean. The Moltres, the Metagross, those are all really strong. Spice level, I would go jalapeno here. It just looks really, really strong. All these Pokemon are horrifying.
Okay, jalapeno. We have one jalapeno. We have a ghost. Did you say ghost pepper?
It's hit in it. It's just it's
Okay.
almost-
All right. Okay.
I'm gonna say that this is jalapeno, but the jalapenos have all migrated to the bottom of the bowl, and they're just like stewing in their own juices. So the top half you're gonna eat, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, this is so bland." You know, it's good, but there's no kick to it. Then you get to the bottom half, and you're gonna have smoke from that.
Yeah, I think this person definitely drafted 2 tier 1s, and then had to take 2 extra tier 4s. So I mean, Solrock, Pinsir probably not coming very often. Hitmonchan's definitely a really strong tier 4, but this is another one of the top heavy teams where you just see really strong pairings at the top.
Yeah, I completely agree with Bubble. Like, there's so many weakness policy options here, especially with the Hitmonchan and all its it gets Mach Punch, Vacuum Wave, and Bullet Punch. Yeah, so he has a lot of weakness policy options. And then
Moltres gets Sucker Punch even.
Yeah.
Metagross can even Bullet Punch.
Yeah, but as far as spice level, I think I'm more geared towards what Rhett is saying with the jalapenos, and I believe in the 2-tier jalapenos as well. It's definitely pretty standard up at the top. It's very top heavy, but the bottom isn't bad. I think the bottom has a lot of options. That Sigilyph has a ton of options. It could run like gravity hypnosis stuff. Swampert, I'm not a big fan of. I'm more of a Mudkip guy. And then Hitmonchan, I like a lot. Pinsir, I think, is really underrated. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that can be done with the bottom half of his team, but the top half is definitely more almost cookie cutter as far as regular VGC stuff goes. But yeah, I agree with Rhett with the jalapeno, so I think we're all pretty split on that one on this team. Let's go on to the next one, and that will be the Pittsburgh Steel types, coached by Rhett, who is one of the admins here. We're not going to let him say anything about his team as soon as I get to the page.
Not yet. Bubble said stuff about his team.
Oh, why isn't it
We had to ask Bubble.
Give me
lagging.
one sec here.
That's a quick lag.
Yeah, mine's lagging.
Yeah, same here.
Darn it, Rhett.
There it goes.
You broke the site.
Maybe we same exact time.
All right, so mine finally loaded, and so Rhett has Gmax Corviknight, Arcanine, Dragapult, Boltund, Mudsdale, Galarian Weezing, Clawitzer, Sceptile, Xatu, Cloyster, and Galarian Lanoon.
I really like the Arcanine being a good Intimidate user, as well as he does have the option for Justified. I like all the support moves Arcanine gets. It can also be a good attacker. Dragapult just being really fast, beat up options. And it wouldn't be the Pittsburgh Steel types without a Weezing on the team, so.
I'm personally a big fan of the Lanoon, the Galarian. It gets that fake tears. It gets a lot of like nice abilities to kind of support Pokemon with. Xatu is also, it's like Sigilyph and Xatu are kind of in that same category from the team before, where a lot of options are available with Tailwind and Trick Room. Also getting some both of them get like really good abilities. Xatu getting stuff like Magic Bounce and a couple others. Stuff that like you don't really want to prep for and is going to make prepping a little bit harder. That being said, he also has a lot of priority moves for setting up weakness policy on either Dragapult or other Pokemon, on top of having wasted proc Unburden, which I'm not going to speak too much on. The other thing is, as much as Fifth might have wanted to talk down on Boltund, Boltund's a very underrated tier 2 support Pokemon, on top of even potentially being offensive with competitive if you're going against the right team. He has a couple threats that he can run at the same time, which is going to make it a lot harder to prep against this team. And I'm not going to go too much into all the stuff.
I see Corviknight being really hard to break as well.
Yeah.
Want to bring your fire and your electric types and get walled by Mudsdales and all sorts of Arcanines. It's going to be tough.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those Pokemon you don't have to Dynamax or Gmax in this case at all, and they could just sit there and bulk up or Iron Defense against the right team. He has a ton of beat up options, or he has beat up strategies in Mudsdale and Arcanine. Bolton super fast. Clawitzer hits. We haven't talked about Clawitzer. Just hits so hard with Mega Launcher and Terrain Pulse or Heal Pulse as well. And then he has a Tailwind Setter and Xatu. I think this is a spicy team. There's a lot of Pokemon on here that I think typically would get overlooked in draft. Besides the Dragapult, I think, yeah, Cloyster. We saw Cloyster does damage last season, but it's not something that would get picked up normally, or the Galarian Lanoon, the Xatu. I feel like everything here is spicy except the Dragapult. That's the only common thing in my opinion.
But Dragapult does have a lot of options.
It does.
Adds to the spiciness.
Yeah. So I give this a very solid habanero.
Yeah, no, it's definitely got some spice. The Dragapult can do a lot. The Arcanine can do a lot. Cloyster, some shenanigans can go on there. So I'd give this at least a really spicy jalapeno, maybe with the seeds.
Okay. What about you, Curry?
I'm going to disagree with both of you. Because of the fact that he can utilize Beat Up 2 different ways, and he has other ways to proc Unburden, and just a whole slew of things, I'm going to go Ghost Pepper.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
We got the
Just
Ghost Pepper.
I'm looking at building against this team, and I'm like, well, do I plan for the Beat Up? Do I plan for the Weakness Palsy Dragapult? Do I plan for Stamina? Do I plan for Unburden? Do I plan for Claw?
Am I going to lose all my abilities?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, if I go in with, because I have Colossal, it's like, am I planning on using Steam Engine, or is it just going to be sitting out here and getting walloped?
Yeah.
Because you brought neutralizing gas.
I
So it's like, I think it's going to be a lot harder than people think up against this team.
Yeah.
Especially knowing Brett as a player.
I agree. It has a lot of unusual picks from each tier, but there's a ton of options. He has a ton of options. I'll stick with habanero, but I see that the Ghost Pepper is warranted. All right, let's go on to the next team. We got the Rawk'em Sawk'ems, and this is coached by Senpai. Senpai has the Gmax Blastoise, the Landorus Therian, the Rotom Heat, Virizion, Alolan Persian, Galarian, Slowbro, Marowak, Palossand, Cinccino again, Lickitung, and Sawk. And from first glance, I think Gmax Blastoise looks really good. Does he have he has the Virizion and the beat up option with Alolan Persian as well. And then we know Alolan Persian is just a really good Pokemon. It's super fast. It gets access to Fake Out and Parting Shot. He has a Trick Room user. He has a couple Trick Room users in Slowbro as well as Palossand. No way to really utilize the Palossand that well, in my opinion.
Palossand gets Trick Room.
It doesn't?
I think it's just the Slowbro.
No, I think Palossand does actually get it. I just
Does
don't think this site shows that, but I'll check.
Yeah, I think Cinccino's an awesome pick. Cinccino's great. Its skill link is so good, and it can run Technician. I think the Lickitung pick is ironic after what happened last season.
I think it's hilarious that he drafted Lickitung after the whole thing last season with it being used against him and changing abilities mid-match. I see a lot of stuff that I like here, a lot of stuff that did well last season, like the Blastoise, Rotom, Persian, Marowak. Those all did very well on other people's teams last season. Lando is always a problem. I like that pick. I think he's got a lot of good looking stuff here. I don't know about Sock, but I guess when it's in your name.
Yeah. You got to give him respect for that, for drafting his mascot.
I think just looking at those first three, it's really scary. The Landorus, Intimidate, it's really strong. Rotom Heat is maybe the best Rotom form. It hits so many things for super effective. Also with the Levitate to cancel out that weakness is really strong. And so, some Gmax moves you can't really build around, but Blastoise dealing damage every turn with a Cannonade is really strong. Like that could be a whole strategy in a match whereas like Gmax drum solo from my Rillaboom isn't like something you have to be worried about.
No, so Palossand doesn't actually get Trick Room, so I just looked at that. And I agree, Palossand kind of is the odd man out here, no real way to utilize it. I feel like he might like Verzion, and that's why he went with it. I think probably one of the weaker of because all the other ones were available, so why not Cobalion, why not Terrakion? He probably wanted that grass type, but it's 4 times weak to flying, which in Dynamax format is going to kind of hurt. I know I stole his Askew, which looking at his team, I'm pretty thankful I did steal it, not because I just feel like it belongs to mine, to be honest. Florida Taco Bell Habanero.
Florida Taco Bell Habanero. Okay. How about you, Bubble?
I've never had it, so.
I'm saying probably another spicy jalapeno. I'm looking at the Aqua Jet on Blastoise, triggering some weakness policies on this team. It'd be interesting with water compaction on the Palossand and Trick Room. So yeah, definitely a spicy jalapeno.
I think jalapeno. I think jalapeno's about right. There's definitely some cool stuff here. The cohesion of the team. I see it. There's a lot of good stuff here, and there's several good pairings. But I don't know.
Yeah, I like a lot of his options here. I do think I would give him a pretty ripe jalapeno, just because he drafted Sock. And if he uses Sock, I'll give him the habanero if he uses Sock well. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of strong pieces, especially at the top. He has a really solid grass, water, fire core, and yeah, I would give it a strong jalapeno. Next team, the Sandstone Scizors, coached by Wolfender, and he has Urshifu Single Strike Gmax, Raikou, Thundurus Incarnate, Blastoise, Klefki, Scizor, Galarian Corsola, Espeon, Rotom Frost, Crustle, and Quagsire.
So the thing about Wolf is that he loves his hat. And so I get it, but I don't love having both Klefki and Thundurus, because in a lot of ways they overlap. I think Thundurus has more options and they can go offense or defense, but you know, he's and then Klefki gives him the option for screens, which is good, but he's got a lot of other options for screens. I don't know that Klefki necessarily. It feels a little redundant to me based on all the other things that he has. Like, I do like the Urshifu Gmax. I don't know.
There's a lot of good pieces. I think there's a lot of good pieces here. I love the fact that he has Galarian Corsola and the fact that got drafted. I think that's a really good Pokemon with Eviolite and really annoying Pokemon with Strength Sap.
While I agree that there is the overlap with the Thundurus and Klefki, I also disagree in the fact that at least Klefki can set up screens where I don't think Thundurus can.
it can't.
So
But
there's
he's got a lot of options for screen in his team.
yeah, but at least those are guaranteed. And it's
Yeah.
at least it's a fairy steel type, which he needed. He has a steel, well, he has 2 steel types, and at least gives him a fairy type. I don't think it's the worst. I'd be interested to see if he does any Aqua Jet shenanigans with Crustle using like weak armor and weakness policy, because that will definitely add some threats to it. The one I'm probably the most interested about on his team is going to end up being the Quagsire. I like Quagsire. I like just derpy Pokemon in general. And in some cases, Quagsire can be very useful, especially with that unaware ability. Very low-key, strong ability when dealing, especially in a Dynamax format with weakness policy usually all over the place.
I think I like the Quagsire pick as well. Unaware is always something that is hard to play around.
I think there could be an underrated Trick Room mode there with the Crustle and Quagsire. I like Thunderous. I like having Prankster and Defiant again. That's just really strong, being able to choose which one you're going to want. He has a lot of physically offensive Pokemon, so having that Defiant to back it up is pretty strong. Spice, I'd say another hot jalapeno.
I personally would give this. I'd say this is a slightly unripened habanero in my opinion. I like the Galarian Corsola. I like the Scizor. I like the Crustle. Crustle can be run in a bunch of different modes because of its abilities. I like the Quagsire pick. I also really like Raikou. I think Raikou's underutilized. It's a fast bulldoze user. Can he really? Yeah. Is Crustle weak to ground or no?
No.
No.
Bugs
Okay.
resistant.
All right. So I like Raikou anyway. Yeah, I would give this a slightly unripened habanero.
I'm gonna say jalapeno as well. I like the jalapeno that you find in a popper.
Yeah, I'll say I'm kind of in between habanero and jalapeno.
Okay. I think we can leave it at that, and we'll go on to our next team and our last team. And that is the Worcester Stunfisks, coached by Curry Puff. The Worcester Stunfisks have Gmax Colossal, Mimikyu, Tapu Bulu, Volcarona, Inteleon, Zoroark, Ice-Q, Slurpuff, Lopunny, Stunfisk, and Toxicroak.
So it's very spicy. I like the Mimikyu being able to either set Trick Room or just counter a Trick Room. It's got redirection with Volcarona, who's maybe one of my favorite Pokemon ever. It's also got a lot of special attack. You can hit pretty hard. And Colossal with Steam Engine is one of my favorite combos there with Inteleon. So got some really cool combos and quite spicy.
Okay. I don't want to reveal too much with the strats because Curry and I do theory craft a lot together, but I will say this team is very spicy. With the Zoroark, the Ice-Q, the Mimikyu, the Stunfisk. I really like Toxicroak. It gives you a water immunity, and it gives you Fake Out as well as a bunch of priority options for policy procs. Yeah, this is arguably the spiciest team in the league right now. But what do you?
Oh, this is max spice.
Yeah.
This is the max spice. Yep.
Yeah.
Top level spice. I do. There's a lot that I like here. I like the Tapu Bulu pick. I love Zoroark. I really like Toxicroak as a Fake Out and a strong fighting and poison type. I think there's a lot of cool stuff here, and I'm gonna call this a Carolina Reaper.
Oh wow. Okay.
So there's gonna be matches, Curry, that you play this year that no one prepares for a single Pokemon that you brought.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, I didn't expect any one of those 6 Pokemon, and I'm gonna lose.
I was gonna say there is kind of an underlying theme to this team if people were to pick up on it. is it's mind games.
Don't give too much away. We'll let it.
I don't want to give too much away at all. But essentially, it's mind games.
Yeah. Bubble spice level. What are you thinking?
Oh, this was max. Whatever the highest was, this is max spice.
Would that be pepper spray?
Is it?
This is pepper
This is.
spray.
I'll give it
100
pepper
degree
spray.
day. You just cut onions, like 100 onions, and you're pouring hot sauce in your eyes.
All right.
This is spicy.
Sounds good.
Whatever.
Those are our 16 teams. I'm excited to see what everyone actually does this season. Remember, you do have 3 transactions that can take place prior to week 7, and I'm excited to see what people bring. I want to thank Rhett, Curry, and Bubble for joining me on this call, and yeah, we'll go from there. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Goodbye.